I killed my sister with a single whisper into the ear of the man she loved most, and watched her empire crumble from the shadows of her own skin. It started with a family dinner where she toasted to our unbreakable bond while slipping the noose of betrayal around my neck, framing me for embezzlement that should have been hers. By dawn, I was her, body stolen, soul seething, and the real revenge, making her beg for the life she tried to bury me in. My name is Alexandra Hale. Or, at least it used to be before the world flipped inside out like a bad acid trip in the bowels of Silicon Valley. I'm 32, born and bred in the cutthroat gleam of New York City, where family fortunes are built on Wall Street whispers and shattered on Fifth Avenue betrayals. The Hales aren't old money, we're new blood. The kind that claws its way up from Queens row houses to Park Avenue penthouses, leaving a trail of broken contracts and buried scandals. My father, Richard Hale, made his billions in biotech, HaleGen Labs, the darling of venture capital, peddling gene therapies that promise to rewrite your DNA like editing a bad tweet. Mom died when I was 10. Some rare autoimmune bullshit they couldn't fix with all our money. And that's when the real fracture started. Victoria, my sister, 2 years older, the golden child with the razor smile and the Rolodex of senators, was always the one who polished the family silver while I scrubbed the grime off the floors. She inherited Dad's charm, the kind that closes deals over dry martinis at the Polo Lounge. I got his grit. The late nights in the lab tweaking CRISPR sequences until my eyes burned. We were supposed to be the Hale dynasty, Vic as the face, me as the brain. But dynasties crack when the throne gets too crowded. It was Thanksgiving, 2024. The kind of family blowout that screams American excess, turkey from some organic farm in the Hudson Valley, catered sides that cost more than a month's rent in Brooklyn, and enough wine to drown the pilgrims. Dad's penthouse overlooked Central Park, the leaves turning that fiery red like warning flags nobody heeds. The guest list was a who's who of Manhattan elite, hedge fund bros in Kashmir, a senator nursing a scotch, and Vic's latest arm candy, Ethan Blackwood, the tech wunderkind whose AI startup was valued at a cool $2 billion. Ethan was the wild card, tall, dark, with that Silicon Valley glow-up, all cheekbones and quiet menace. Vic had snagged him at a gala 6 months back, and suddenly he was family, or close enough. I arrived late, fresh off a red-eye from San Francisco, where I'd been closing a HaleGen partnership with a neurotech firm. My hair was a mess, my blouse wrinkled, but I figured Vic would cut me slack. Sisters?
Right? Wrong.
The dining room was a tableau of forced festivity, crystal goblets clinking, laughter echoing off the herringbone floors. Dad spotted me first, pulling me into a bear hug that smelled of cigar smoke and cologne. Alex, the prodigal daughter returns. Where's that breakthrough you promised? Still cooking?
Dad.
But it'll rewrite the playbook on neural implants. I grinned, scanning the room. Vic was at the head of the table, resplendent in emerald silk, her laugh like champagne bubbles, effervescent, fleeting. She raised her glass when she saw me, but her eyes, cold as the ice in her gin. Alexandra, fashionably late. As always.
Come. Sit.
We've just been toasting to family. I slid into the seat beside Ethan, who nodded politely, his fingers drumming the table like he was debugging code in his head. The conversation flowed like the Pinot Noir, stocks up, politics down, the usual. But midway through the pumpkin bisque, Vic leaned in, her voice a velvet blade.
Oh.
Alex, I almost forgot. There's a little mix-up with the seating for the Hail Gen holiday gala next week. Daddy's big investor schmooze. I had to bump you for Ethan's COO. You understand, don't you? Business first. Bump me? That gala wasn't just a party. It was my shot to pitch the neural swap prototype, Hail Gen's crown jewel. A body transfer tech born from Dad's obsession with Mom's death. Imagine it. Consciousness uploaded. Bodies exchanged for medical miracles or, hell, vanity upgrades. I'd slaved over it for years, debugging the ethics as much as the algorithms. And she bumped me for some suit. My fork scraped the plate a little too loud. Vic, that's my project. The investors are expecting me. She waved it off, popping a cranberry into her mouth. Details. Darling, you're the genius behind the curtain. I'll handle the spotlight. The table chuckled, Dad included, like it was all in good fun. Ethan shot me a sympathetic glance, but said nothing. That was the first crack, the exclusion that should have been a joke but landed like a gut punch. By dessert, the wine had loosened tongues, and Vic was holding court, regaling everyone with tales of her latest boardroom conquests. I nursed my glass, the Bordeaux turning sour on my tongue. Then Dad cleared his throat, the room hushing like he was about to drop stock tips. Family, he said, his voice gravelly from too many late nights. This year, Hail Gen hits $10 billion in valuation. To the Hales, unbreakable. Glasses raised. But mine stayed down. Unbreakable? The word stuck like a thorn. Later, as the senator droned on about tariffs, I slipped to the powder room, splashing water on my face. In the mirror, my reflection stared back, dark circles under hazel eyes, the hale jawline sharpened by stress. Vic and I looked alike enough to be twins if you squinted. Same height, same waves of chestnut hair. But she wore hers like a crown, mine like a noose. I texted my assistant. Confirm gala slot. Not optional. But deep down, I knew Vic had already poisoned the well. The real fracture hit post-dinner, in the library with its wall-to-wall books nobody read. Dad pulled me aside, his hand heavy on my shoulder. Alex, the SEC's sniffing around. Some irregularities in the R&D budget. Vic says it's nothing.
But.
Keep your head down. Irregularities? My stomach dropped. I'd signed off on every dime for the neural project, transparent as glass. But Vic handled the books. Her efficiency streamlining what mine would have audited twice.
Dad.
That's not. Trust your sister, he cut in, eyes pleading.
Trust.
The word that built empires and toppled them. I nodded, but inside, rage simmered. That night, back in my cramped Upper West Side walk-up, while Vic and Ethan canoodled in the guest suite, I couldn't sleep. I paced, replaying the dinner, the bump, the irregularities. By 3 a.m., I was deep in Hail Gen's secure server, cross-referencing ledgers. What I found wasn't a crack, it was a chasm. Emails, buried in Vic's archived folder, hacked with a backdoor I'd built years ago. Sisterly paranoia transfers to offshore accounts, funneled through shell companies. Millions siphoned, not for R&D, but for Vic's pet projects. A private jet here, a Hamptons flip there. And the kicker? Forged signatures.
Mine.
She'd pinned the embezzlement on me, her quiet, overlooked sister, to cover her tracks before Dad's audit. The gala? A smokescreen to parade Ethan as the new Hail Gen savior while I got federally indicted. Betrayal doesn't hit like a thunderclap. It seeps in, cold and insidious, like rain through a cracked foundation. I slammed my laptop shut, heart hammering.
Call Dad?
He'd choose her, always had. The cops? I'd be the fall guy before breakfast.
No.
This needed something sharper. Something irreversible. The next morning, I drove to the HaleGen lab in Jersey, the skyline shrinking in my rear view like a bad memory. The facility was a fortress of glass and steel, humming with the future, cryo chambers, neural maps glowing on holoscreens.
DR.
Elena Vasquez, my lead engineer, met me at the airlock, her lab coat crisp. Alex, you're early. The prototype stable, but ethics board. Forget the board, I snapped, swiping my badge. We descended to sublevel 3, the black site vault where the swap chamber squatted like a sci-fi sarcophagus, titanium pod, laced with quantum coils, designed to shunt consciousness between bodies. It worked on rats. Primates, humans were the holy grail. Untested, unethical as hell. But desperation has no morals. Elena, run a sim. Me and a proxy. She frowned, but complied, keying in parameters while I strapped in, for lines snaking into my veins. The hum built, a low throb like migraine static. This is theoretical, Alex. Reversal windows 24 hours max. I nodded, eyes on the console. Theoretical. Like family. But I wasn't simming a proxy. Hidden in the code. A subroutine I'd buried weeks ago, a remote trigger. Synced to Vic's biometrics via her smartwatch, gifted for her birthday. Laced with HaleGen trackers. One ping, and the chamber would bridge us.
Not sim. Real.
I hit execute from my phone at noon. Mid-board meeting where Vic was pitching Ethan's AI integration. The world dissolved in white noise, fire in my synapses. A pull like being vacuumed through a straw. Then, snap. Darkness. Awakening. I gasped, bolting upright, not in the chamber, but in a king-sized bed, sheets tangled around legs that weren't mine. Longer, tone from Pilates, nails manicured crimson. Vic's legs. I stumbled to the ensuite, mirror fogged from a recent shower. Peeling it back, her face. High cheekbones, full lips curved in perpetual smirk. Victoria Hale stared back, but my eyes, haunted, furious, burned through. Panic clawed my throat. The swap worked. I was her.
But where was I?
No, where was she? My old body. Alexandra's. Slumped in the lab. Elena probably calling 911 by now.
Heart attack.
They'd say. Overwork. Tragic. I rifled drawers, phone, buzzing with texts. Bored aced it.
Babe. Dinner?
E from Ethan. Vic's life. Handed to me on a silver platter. But this wasn't escape, it was war. I'd wear her skin, wield her power, and unravel her from the inside. The embezzlement? I'd expose it as hers, from her own mouth. Dad's trust? Shatter it.
Ethan?
He'd be my unwitting pawn. First move, delete the evidence. I logged into her email, same week password, Vic Hale Queen 99, and torched the trail, routing it to a dead server. Then, a call to Elena. Voice pitched sultry like Vic's. Darling. False alarm. Migraine. Handle the cleanup.
Click.
Body in the chamber? I'd reverse it later.
For now, play the part.
Dressed in Vic's closet, Chanel sheath. Louboutins that pinched like regrets. I descended to the lobby, doorman nodding like I was royalty.
Outside.
The city pulsed, cabs honking, steam rising from grates. The eternal hustle that chews dreamers and spits out husks. I hailed a ride to Hailgen. Rehearsing lines. Act normal. Weaponize the normal. The boardroom was a shark tank, suits circling, eyes gleaming. Vic strode in, flashing that trademark smile. Gentlemen, ladies, let's make history. They applauded, oblivious. Dad beamed from the head, pride swelling his chest. If only he knew the daughter he toasted was a ghost in my old shell. By evening, Ethan waited at Le Bernardin, candlelight dancing on oysters and ego. He kissed my cheek, her cheek lingering. You were brilliant today. Alex looked wrecked at dinner last night. Hope she's okay. I sipped Chardonnay, masking revulsion.
Oh,
Alex?
she's
Taking a break. Family drama. Lies. Sweet as dessert. That night. In Vic's my temporary penthouse. I stood on the balcony. City lights mocking me.
below.
My old life crumbled. News alerts on my phone about Hailgen exec collapse. Foul play suspected.
Good.
Let them chase ghosts. Vic. Trapped in my body. Probably screaming in some ICU. Medicated to hell. She'd wake up voiceless. Powerless. While I dismantled her throne brick by brick. Revenge isn't a blaze. It's a slow burn. Charring from the core. And mine? It was just igniting. Wearing Victoria's skin felt like slipping into a designer straitjacket tailored for poise, but laced with invisible barbs that pricked at every false smile. By week 2, I'd mastered the mimicry, the toss of hair during negotiations, the husky laugh that sealed partnerships, the sidelong glance that made men like Ethan melt. He was the easiest mark, oblivious as a puppy, showering me with rooftop brunches and whispers of forever. Vic, you're different lately, fiercer. I love it. If only he knew the fire was borrowed, stoked by a sister's scorn. Meanwhile, the real Vic, trapped in my old body, Alexandra's, languished in a private clinic upstate, courtesy of a Hailgen wellness retreat. I'd spun it to Dada's burnout. He bought it. Wiring funds without a blink. Take care of your sister, he'd said over speakerphone, voice thick with that paternal guilt. Care?
Oh,
I would. But my version involved monitors beeping lies. Nurses dosing her with sedatives that blurred the line between dream and delirium. She couldn't speak, tracheotomy from the seizure, but her eyes, my old eyes, followed me like accusations when I visited. The first time, I leaned close, breath ghosting her ear. Miss me, Vic?
or should I say,
Alexandra? Her pupils dilated. A twitch in her bandaged fingers. Rage. Pure and impotent. I smiled, patting her hand. Rest up. We've got a gala to prep. Leaving. I felt her stare boring into my back. A promise of hell if she ever clawed free. But the reversal window slipped at 48 hours. The chamber's failsafe kicked in neural lock. Irreversible without a counterkey, only I held. She'd rot in that shell. A princess in pauper's rags. Back in the city, I weaponized her world. Hailgen's board was a nest of vipers. old boys club with a token woman or two, all salivating over the neural swap tech. Vic had kept them leashed with charm and kickbacks. I tightened the collar. First meeting post-swap. I pitched expansions, military contracts for enhanced soldier transfers, ethics be damned. Gasps rippled. Controversial as hell. Flirting with DARPA dollars but risking headlines like, Hail Jen plays God. Dad shifted uncomfortably. Alex, Vic, this is bold. Bold? It was a gauntlet. Dad. Fortune favors the ruthless. Or have we gone soft? They approved. 7-4. Her vote breaking the tie. Whispers followed. Victoria's on fire. What's her secret? The secret was me. Alexandra. The overlooked gearhead. Pulling strings from the shadows of silk. Nights blurred into power plays, schmoozing at the Met Gala, where donors dangled checks like carrots, late sessions with Ethan, mapping AI neural hybrids that'd make us untouchable. He was smitten, proposing over caviar at per se 3 weeks in. Marry me?
Beak.
Build this with me. The ring, Harry Winston. 5 carats, sparkled like a noose. I said yes. Lips curving. Mind plotting. Marriage meant access, his algorithms to cloak Vic's embezzlement trail, his influence to bury any SEC probes. But power's a jealous mistress, and mine came with cracks. Dreams haunted me, Vic's memories bleeding through the neural bridge. Fragments of her life, like static on a bad line. A childhood fight where she pushed me off the swing, laughing as I bled. Her first affair with Dad's partner. Sealing a merger with moans. The night she doctored the books. Fingers trembling over enter. Whispering, for us, Alex. You'll thank me.
Lies.
It was always for her, the throne, the spotlight, the illusion of unbreakable. Worse, the body betrayed me. Vic's frame was a temple, yoga-toned, metabolism like a Ferrari, but mine rebelled, migraines from synaptic dissonance. A faint tremor in my left hand. Elena noticed during a lab walkthrough.
Vic?
You okay? The prototype logs show anomalies, residual echoes. I froze.
Forcing Vic's lil.
Just stress.
Elena.
Double the security protocols. She nodded, but doubt flickered. Elena was loyal to me, Alexandra, not this husk. One slip, and the masquerade crumbled. The gala loomed. Hail Jen's holiday bacchanal at the Waldorf Astoria, black ties. Red carpets. The scent of money and desperation. It was Vic's stage. Now mine to torch. I prepped in her walk-in, zipping into Versace that hugged like a second skin, diamonds at my throat winking like co-conspirators. Ethan adjusted my necklace, breath warm. You'll kill it. Irony. Thy name is revenge. The ballroom was a fever dream, chandeliers dripping light, string quartets sawing Vivaldi amid clinking flutes. Investors swarmed. Venture lords from Sand Hill Road. Pharma titans from Jersey. Dad cornered me early.
Scotch in hand.
Proud of you.
Vic.
This neural pitch? Game changer. His eyes softened. A rare vulnerability. After your mother. It's like closure. Closure. The word twisted like a knife. Mom's death fueled this tech. Our shared ghost. And Vic, she'd exploited it. Siphoning funds meant for trials to fund her vanity. I pitched at 10 sharp. Projector humming. Holos of brains lighting up like Christmas trees. Imagine, not just healing, but transcending. Swap frailty for vitality. The The future isn't adaptation, it's appropriation. Murmurs swelled to applause. Checks promised in the millions. Ethan beamed from the wings. Vic's allies toasting the queen. But mid-speech, my phone vibrated, clinic alert. Patient agitation. Request visit. Her. Fighting the fog. Clawing for air. I excused myself to the powder room, heels clicking like gunfire. In the marble hush, I dialed the head nurse. Double the dose. No visitors.
Click.
Mercy?
No.
Mercy was for the innocent. Vic had framed me for her crimes, excluded me from my own legacy, left me to rot while she preened. This was justice. American style, survival of the slickest. Re-entering the fray, I locked eyes with Senator Hargrove, Vic's golf buddy, his leer as predictable as his graft.
Victoria.
Darling, that pitch was sinful. Care to discuss? Details? Over cigars in the Astoria lounge. He dangled earmarks for HailGen tax breaks, FDA fast tracks, in exchange for discretion on his re-election slush fund. Controversial? Hell yes. Blackmail wrapped in velvet. I agreed. Recorder app running silent in my clutch. Leverage. Filed for later. Dawn crept in with hangovers and headlines. HailGen's body swap revolution. Ethical minefield or goldmine. Vic would have spun it soft. I fanned the flames. Leaking teasers to TechCrunch. Controversy bred buzz. Buzz bred billions. But the high faded in the penthouse. Ethan snoring beside me. Ring heavy on my finger. I slipped to the balcony. City a concrete jungle below. Was this victory? Or just a prettier cage? Then, the call that cracked the facade.
Elena.
Voice edged. Vic, Alexandra's stable.
But.
She wrote something. On the tray table. Not her. Swap back. My blood iced. Vic. Piecing it through the haze.
Elena posed.
It's gibberish.
Right?
But the logs. Delete them, I hissed. And up her meds. She's delusional. Hanging up. I gripped the railing. Knuckles white. The masquerade held, but threads frayed. Time to accelerate. Expose the embezzlement. Frame it as Vic's ghost from beyond. Plant digital breadcrumbs leading to her old accounts. Timed to drop post-engagement announcement. The board would oust her legacy. Dad would shatter. But as sirens wailed distant, a mugging in Hell's Kitchen, the city's underbelly growling, I felt it, the pull of her memories deepening. A flash, Vic at 16, stealing my college essay, submitting it as hers for the Ivy nod I earned. Triumph. Then guilt. Buried like so many sins. Was she the villain? Or were we both Hail monsters? Forged in the same fire? No time for philosophy. Revenge waited. And I was dressed to kill. Ethan stirred, murmuring my stolen name. I slid back into bed. Body foreign. Soul fracturing. The fracture widened, but I'd burn it all before it swallowed me. 3 months into the swap, and Manhattan felt like a pressure cooker, steam hissing from every subway grate. Deals boiling over in boardrooms. My borrowed life a tinderbox, one wrong word from Blaze. I'd woven Vic's web tighter. HailGen stock surged 40% on the neural hype. Ethan's AI merger inked for a July wedding that'd splash across Forbes like confetti. The press dubbed me the Iron Widow, a nod to my ruthless reinvention post-sister's illness. The euphemism for the coma I'd engineered. Keeping Vic, in my old skin, suspended in a twilight of tubes and twilight sedation. Visits to the clinic became ritual, a twisted confessional. I'd arrive in Vic's chauffeured Escalade, signing in as family, then perch by her bed in the sterile hush of Lake Placid Medical. My body looked frail under the sheets, cheeks hollowed, hair limp, monitors beeping a dirge. But those eyes, feral, tracking my every blink. I'd lean in, voice a murmur. How's the view from the bottom?
Cease.
Cozy, a flutter in her lashes, a vein pulsing at her temple. Once, she gripped the rail, knuckles mottling, mouthing silent fury. You bitch. I laughed, low and throaty, her laugh.
Pot. Kettle.
Remember Thanksgiving? Your little bump. This is the encore. The betrayal ran marrow deep, a secret festering since girlhood. I'd borne her sins before. High school, when she cheated on finals and slipped the D my test scores as alibi. College, covering her coke-fueled crash by claiming the Bentley as mine. Eating the insurance hit. Always the scapegoat, the reliable one. While she soared. The embezzlement? Apex of her pyramid scheme. Millions laundered to fund a shadow life, offshore lovers. A Swiss clinic for youth serums that'd make Dorian Gray blush. She'd framed me to ascend unburdened, excluding me from the gala, the legacy, the air I breathed.
Now.
I inhaled it all. Dad doted. Lunches at 21 Club where he'd reminisce about Mom's laugh, oblivious to the imposter forking Oso Buco across from him. You've changed. Vic stronger. Like Alex used to be. The irony stung. A barb in the ribs. Stronger? I'd weaponized her flaws, her flirtations to snag Hargrove's vote for a neural bill in Congress. Controversial as stem cell debates in '08, playing God for profit? Screamed the Times op-eds. Protests brewed outside HailGen HQ. Ethicists picketing with signs like, souls aren't swappable. I fanned them. Anonymous tips to activists, turning scrutiny into spotlight. Chaos was cover. Ethan was the blind spot. His love a chain I hadn't forged. Mornings tangled in his Tribeca loft, exposed brick. Eames chairs. The scent of oat milk lattes, he'd trace my spine. Whispering futures. After the wedding. Vic kids. Maybe? Or just us. Rewriting the world.
Kids.
The thought curdled. His seed in her womb? A perversion I'd abort before conception. But I played along. Moans feigned in the dark. Mining his code for the kill shot. The reckoning brewed in May. Heat wave turning the city to a skillet. SEC whispers grew to roars, anonymous leaks mine. Routed through Ethan's servers, hinting at Hale irregularities. I timed them for the engagement party, rooftop at the Standard. Hudson views hazy with dusk. Guests in linen and envy. Vic's circle turned out, models with venture husbands. Rappers turned moguls. A smattering of Pauls. Dad toasted. Glass aloft. To Victoria and Ethan, may your union birth empires. Cheers. Flashes popping like gunfire. I wore white, preemptive bridal. Silk draping like a shroud, Ethan's arm possessive around my waist. Midway through canapes, my phone chirped, a burner. Elena's voice tight. Alex, Vic, it's bad. Patience crashing. Tachycardia. Possible stroke.
Crash.
The word echoed. A drumbeat. Vic. Fighting free? Or dying? Her consciousness fraying in my old shell? I excused myself to the ladies, locking a stall. Dialing the nurse. Stabilize. Whatever it takes. Cost be damned. Halegen's black budget-covered research. Remarking. I caught Hargrove in a corner, schmoozing a donor. Time to tighten the noose. Senator. About that discretion. I slid him a thumb drive, recordings of his slush fund chats. Time-stamped to Vic's emails. His face blanched, jowls quivering. You wouldn't.
Oh.
I would. Approve the neural writer on the defense bill. Or these go viral. Blackmail. The great equalizer, controversial. Career-ending. Pure American ingenuity. He folded by dessert. Texting his aide, green light hail. Victory tasted like key lime tart. Tart and fleeting. But the high soured when Ethan pulled me aside, eyes searching.
Beak. Talk to me. You've been distant.
Like you're somewhere else. Distant? I was a universe away. Soul adrift in stolen flesh. Just nerves.
Love.
The wedding, it's everything.
Lies.
Layered like milfy. That night, post-party haze. We flew to the Hamptons, his jet. Her getaway. The estate was Vic's folly. Modernist glass box on Georgica Pond. Infinity pool bleeding into dunes. We swam naked under stars. His hands mapping curves I'd never claimed. In the afterglow, he confessed, I know about the money.
Beak.
The transfers. Alex took the heat.
But.
It was you, wasn't it? My heart seized. How? His AI. Sniffing patterns? Ethan. He rolled over. Gaze steady. I covered tracks.
For us.
But the SEC's closing. We fix it together. Loyalty. Twisted into complicity. I nodded. Throat dry. Plotting his unwitting role. Tweak his algo to discover Vic's guilt. Leak it as whistleblower gold. Betrayals echo, using him as she'd used me. Dawn broke stormy. Waves lashing the shore like accusations. I slipped out, barefoot on the deck. Wind whipping hair, hers. Wild and unmoored.
Mamuria surja, Beaks.
Unbidden. A fight in the penthouse. Her screaming, You're nothing without me. Alex, the brains? I'd have it if I wanted. Then, softer, her hand on my fevered brow at 12, whispering, Don't leave me like Mom. Fractures within fractures. Was revenge healing the wound? Or picking its scabs? Back in the city. The climax coiled. June board meeting. SEC raid imminent. Stocks dipping. I called the vote. Divest Vic's legacy projects. Rebrand under Ethan. Dissent brewed. Old guard loyal to her ghost. This reeks of cover-up, one muttered. I smiled.
Beaks banum shuait.
Or evolution. Vote. It passed.
6-5.
Dad abstained. Eyes wet. What happened to family?
Beak.
Family. The secret he'd buried. Mom's death was an illness. Hale-Gen trial gone wrong. Early gene edit. Vic's suggestion to push parameters. Dad's approval. I'd borne the guilt unspoken. Piecing it from logs as teen. They'd chiseled her tombstone with lies. Me the silent witness. Post-meeting. Elena cornered me in the lab. It's not Vic. The neural signatures. Alexandra's in there. What did you do? Confrontation. Raw as ozone. I grabbed her wrist. Nails digging. What I had to. She's the thief. Elena yanked free. Horror dawning. You're the monster. She bolted. Alarms I'd rigged blaring. False breach. Buying time. I fled to the penthouse. Sirens a symphony. Ethan waited. Face ashen. Vic, the leaks.
It's pointing to you.
We run.
No.
The endgame. I kissed him. Fierce. Then whispered the truth. It was me. Ethan. Alexandra. She stole everything. His shock priceless. A mirror to mine that fateful swap. Prove it. Leak the real trail. He did. Fingers flying. I'll go unleashing the deluge. Vic's emails. Transfers. Forgeries irrefutable. Time-stamped to her biometrics. By midnight, wires hummed. Hail heiress embezzlement scandal rocks biotech. Protests swelled. Hargrove's bill tanked. Dad's empire teetered. But the reckoning's bite came at the clinic. I arrived at Storm's Peak. Thunder cracking like judgment. Vic, my body, thrashed against restraints. Eyes locked on mine. Elena there. Syringe poised. But hesitating. End it, Alex. Or I call the feds. Choice, mercy kill. Or unravel. I nodded to the drip, lethal cocktail. Masked as overdose. As it flowed.
Bix gasa shuftanat.
Not hate.
But.
Sorrow? A gurgle. Then silence. Body still. Soul fled.
Mine?
Forever hers. Ethan's leak hit critical mass. Feds swarmed hail Gen Dawn.
Bic, surandarat grasafuli.
Plea deal in pocket. Reduced sentence for cooperation. Dad visited in holding.
Crumbling. Why?
Victoria.
Why?
The question that birthed it all. Released on bail. Wedding off. I vanished to a Jersey safe house. Hail Gen Black site. Irony's last laugh.
Ethan?
Ghosted. His empire tainted by association. The twist? In her skin. I glimpsed the hidden. Mom's death.
Bix push.
But Dad's hand guiding. We'd all born sins, me the mistake. Framed for family folly. Revenge tasted ash. Victorious? Or just another hail husk? 7 months post-swap. And the inversion hit like a market crash, sudden. Savage. Rewriting fortunes in red ink. I was Victoria Hale on paper. Mugshot splashed across Vanity Fair. From heiress to inmate, the fall of biotech's queen. House arrest in the Hamptons estate. Ankle monitor chafing like a pauper's shackle. While the real Vic's body, my old shell, lay in a pauper's plot upstate. Accidental overdose, the coroner's shrug. Dad liquidated assets to cover fines. Hail Gen rebranded under Elena's interim reign. Her first act, shelved the neural tech as unethical abomination. Poetic, my magnum opus. Buried with the sister it killed.
Ethan?
The collateral. His startup imploded under SEC scrutiny. Ties to Vic's fraud too tangled to untie. Last I heard, he was coding for Uber Eats in Oakland. The Wunderkind reduced to gig economy grit. He texted once. Post-leak, if you're her.
Why?
I didn't reply.
Why?
The question that echoed in empty rooms. Wine glasses clinking solo on the deck. The public devoured the scandal, podcasts dissecting sibling rivalry or corporate coup. Reddit threads theorizing Vic's suicide as murder-suicide. Controversial? It lit Twitter ablaze. Justice for Vic trending with Hail Jensen's. Feminists hailing my unmasking as empowerment. Conservatives decrying godless text toll. I watched from the shadows. Scrolling incognito. A ghost haunting my own grave. Dad visited weekly, gaunt in seersucker, bearing takeout from the old spots, bagels from Essa Bagel, pastrami from Katz's. We rebuild. Vic. For Alexandra. Her name. A knife twist. He'd mourned my burnout death with a quiet service, ashes scattered in the Hudson. Closure. He'd called it. Theft. I called it. In her skin, I unraveled the final secret, the one Vic guarded like a vaulted crown jewel. Late, one night, ankle beeper silent, I cracked her, my personal server, hidden in the estate's wine cellar behind false oak. Passcode, Mom's birthday, sentimental fool. Files spilled, not just embezzlement ledgers, but medicals. Neural scans from a black market clinic in Zurich, dated pre-swap. Vic hadn't just stolen funds, she'd tested the tech. On herself. A prototype graft, embryonic, uploading fragments to buffer personality erosion. Erosion. The word chilled. She'd known about the chamber, Elena's side project, and planned to hijack it. For immortality?
No.
For absolution. Deeper, logs of Mom's final days. Not trial error, sabotage. Vic, 16 and scheming, tampered with the gene sequencer, accelerating the autoimmune cascade.
Why?
Dad's will. Pre-death scribbles favoring the brilliant one, me, for Hail Gen control. She'd confessed in a therapy tape, voice cracking, I couldn't lose him to her shadow. Alex was always the favorite. The myth that fueled her exclusions. Her frames. Her war. I'd borne the mistake, not just funds, but Mom's ghost. Gunned down by sibling envy. The twist inverted everything. I wasn't the victim reborn. I was the echo of her monster. Swap complete. But souls? They'd mingled. Her guilt seeping into my rage like ink in water. Dreams now, pushing that swing, not as child, but as avenger, forging signatures in my own hand, laughing. Who was Alexandra anymore? The prodigal? Or the poison? Decision loomed. Controversial as the tech we'd birthed. Reverse the remnants. Or embrace the hybrid. Elena held the key, counterneural flush. Risky. Potentially fatal. She met me in the cellar, face scarred by stress lines. A far cry from the eager PhD. You destroyed us, Alex.
But.
I get it. Betrayal breaks.
Get it?
She'd covered, dosing Vic on my nod. Complicit in the kill. Flush it. End this. The procedure was makeshift. Estate guest room turned or Elena's kit smuggled past monitors. Strapped to a makeshift pod, hot-wired MRI. For drip of synaptic blockers, I felt the pull reverse. Fire in veins, memories clashing like titans. Vic's triumphs mine. My grievances hers. Climax crested, scream tearing free. Body convulsing as consciousness splintered. Reformed. Awakening, mirror fogged, but wiping it. My face. Alexandra's, crow's feet from lab nights. Jaw softened by time. Success or illusion?
Elena Pektepe.
Eyes averted. It's you. Mostly.
The rest.
Bury it. She left. Whistleblower immunity, her ticket out. Hail Gen, sold to Big Pharma. Neural dreams dust. Dad arrived next on, finding me on the deck. Coffee steaming. Vic, what? I turned, and his cup shattered. Porcelain shards like our legacy. Alex. The name. A resurrection. I nodded, throat raw. She took everything.
Dad.
But I took her back. Confession spilled. Swap. Sabotage. The overdose mercy I'd convinced myself was justice. His face crumpled, grief for Vic. Horror for me. The Hale sins laid bare.
He didn't call cops.
Instead, a hug. Bone-crushing. Tears salting my collar. We end it here. No more ghosts. End it. But endings in America aren't tidy. There's sequels in waiting. Dad, and I shuttered the estate. Liquidated to charities, ironic penance. I relocated to Seattle. Rainy exile. Consulting on ethical AI for startups wary of hubris.
Nathan?
A letter. And signed, forgive the husk. Build better.
He didn't reply.
The debate lingers. As intended, was my revenge redemption? Or just vengeance in a fancier suit? Did I free the Hale name? Or curse it deeper? Readers, if this tale leaks, we'll argue over martinis, hero or horror, sister slayer or survivor. In quiet nights, rain pattering like accusations, I wonder too. But one truth holds. Exclusion cuts deepest when family wields the blade. My response? It left them gasping, Dad in awe, Vic in silence, the world in uproar. And me, gasping still, for air in a skin finally my own. Unbreakable?
Nah.
We're all just fractures, waiting for the light to hit right.